understand we have some students. Is it Tollgate? Whitman. Okay, Whitman Junior High, and I wanted to thank you and congratulate you for coming out and participating in your democracy. This is one of a series of town hall meetings that I do throughout the year. Some are direct town hall style meetings. This is kind of we're doing a one-on-one style town hall meeting here tonight, where people who have an opportunity, if they have a problem or a concern, will be able to have some time. We'll be able to have some one-on-one time. But it's also time for everyone to get to be here to ask questions and give you their opinion or thoughts, or also solve problems if you have problems dealing with government. But we also do things like phone town hall meetings as well, conference call town hall meetings, which are exciting. We actually get more people that way. We're calling people in their homes. But it's just another series of attempts to reach out to people. I think part of my job, it's my responsibility to hear directly from you, make sure that I'm accessible and responsive to your concerns. It's also important for me to make sure that I'm explaining what's going on in Washington, giving you an update, and that's what we're going to try to do here tonight, but also explain decisions that I make as your representative in Congress. I think it's always important for you to know exactly where I stand on issues. There's also it's an opportunity for me to make sure that you are taking advantage of all the resources that we have in our office. We have caseworkers here tonight who are going to be assisting me in hearing or responding to some of your concerns or problems that you may have with government. And again, I think for me that's about the most rewarding part of the job, because whenever you're solving problems, people be making your lives easier, and again, I think that's one of the most important aspects of what I do. Let me just talk a little bit, if I could, about what we're working on right now, and then I go into meeting with you one-on-one as we try to address some of your concerns. But I want to thank the Warwick Mall first of all for hosting us here tonight, giving me this venue. Pretty good sized crowd and nice area.
Talk a little bit louder.
It's nice to see the. That's good. How about that? There we go. Nice to see the mall finally reopened, and new Macy's, I guess, just reopened this past week, and it's obviously an important part of our economy here. Around so many people employed at the mall. We're all devastated to see what happened after the floods occurred, the 500-year floods that hit Rhode Island. So it's good to see the mall finally back in business and operating at 100% capacity. Well, right now, obviously, the thing that's on all of our minds right now, the economy here in Rhode Island and nationally, and what are we doing to create jobs. So I want you to know that although this is an unprecedented recession that we're going through, we're leaving no stone unturned to try to create jobs as quickly as possible, turn this ship around, and get this economy back on track. It certainly isn't going to be easy. There are many things that got us into the problems that we're in right now, the challenges that we're facing. But as you can see, we're slowly but surely starting to see a recovery. We're starting to see jobs come back from not only to Rhode Island but nationally. But let me say this: I'm very well aware of those people that are still out of work, that are still struggling to find a job, that it's not happening fast enough. And I'm as frustrated about this as you are. We've done several things along the way, of course, to try to get those jobs created. The stimulus bill was a part of it, and that's either preserved or created more new jobs. But we're also trying to assist small business. Government will never be as good at creating jobs as the private sector. Government will never be as effective at encouraging entrepreneur growth and business growth as business would be. So we need to do all we can to try to support small business, and we've done that through support through the SBA, and making more funds available through SBA loans, and also reducing fees associated with those, or eliminating fees that are associated with those loans. There was a part of the health care bill which we tried to change as it was going through the process, and the president called, but unfortunately that wasn't successful. That's this whole 1099 issue that for businesses, small businesses that do business with contractors, that they have to now, that part of the health care bill, there's a provision there that I did not like, and we tried to strip it out as well through the process. that's going to require a 1099 form to be issued. The President has called for that repeal. Congress has just recently, on the House side, has voted for that repeal, and that's working its way through the process, and I'm sure that that is going to be changed very quickly. Again, it's an unnecessary paperwork burden for small businesses, and we need to change that. We're also, I want to make sure that we're protecting the healthcare law, the new healthcare law that was just put into effect. It's slowly but surely coming into effect by 2014. The health insurance exchanges will be created, but in the meantime, we're already seeing some of the very good aspects of the law playing out. Things like eliminating the yearly and lifetime caps on health insurance, so that you can't be dropped. Also, you have health insurance and you have catastrophic injury or a life-altering healthcare problem, that you can't, insurance company, just because it becomes more expensive to treat you, health insurance companies can only just drop you from your health insurance. It's also allowing adult children to stay on their parents' health insurance through their 26th birthday, which is important. So as you get older and because you're going through school, as you're working to get yourself established, you'll be able to stay in your parents' health insurance and won't have to struggle to find it on your own. So the support for senior citizens and some seniors who have hit the donut hole have already received a $250 check, some as much as $500 in assistance for paying for prescriptions. And eventually, over time, we're going to close or eliminate that donut hole for seniors, so that you can afford your prescription medications. We're also making sure that we're battling back against immediate budget cuts right now that are going to affect the long-term growth prospects for job creation or rebounding, making sure the economy rebounds. I know that we need to get our fiscal house in order, and the sooner we do that, the better. We need to do it, though, in a timely and effective way, and even the President's bipartisan deficit reduction commission has said that those the cuts that they've recommended shouldn't start until about 2013 or 2014. But then we need to turn aggressively to making sure that those spending cuts are implemented. Clearly, our budget is out of balance right now. There's too much red ink. A significant reason why we have so much red ink, so much of a budget deficit right now, is that too many people are out of work. Too many people are unemployed. If you're unemployed, if you're not bringing a paycheck, you're not paying taxes, and therefore, in terms of what we budgeted and what we're taking in, there's a significant gap. That being said, there's also too much spending in Washington, and we need to get our fiscal house in order. And we can talk a little bit more about that if we go one-on-one. One of the main reasons, of course, that there's too much red ink, in addition to lower tax revenues because too many people are unemployed, is that pay-go legislation, which required that for any increase in spending or any tax cut had to be paid for. That legislation was in effect during the Clinton years. If anyone wonders why we had balanced budgets and budget surpluses as far as the eye can see during the Clinton administration, it's because pay-go legislation was in effect. That legislation expired in 2002, and George Bush and the Republican Congress never reinstituted that legislation. And so when the tax cuts were given back in 2002, in many ways to some of the wealthiest people in the country, it was never paid for. And what they did was they took out the national credit card, so we're going to give a tax cut, but we're going to leave spending where it is, but we're going to give a tax cut, so the tax revenue that was coming in was lowered, the tax rate was lowered, so we weren't taking as much revenue, but there was really nothing done in terms of spending cuts. Well, we reinstituted pay-go legislation last year. That is now in effect, and now it's permanent. It won't expire. And as we go forward doing budgeting, it's going to have to be any increase in dollar spending or any tax cuts that are given will have to be offset, will have to be paid for. Let me talk about Libya and what's happening there right now. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about just a couple pieces of legislation that I've introduced, and then we're going to get to your one-on-one meetings and taking your questions and hear your concerns. Libya right now, clearly a volatile situation. Muammar Gaddafi in power, using his own military until just recently, especially waging an air campaign to target the civilian population. As a result of that, the President and coalition partners, our allies, went to the United Nations and obtained a UN resolution to use all means necessary to protect the civilian population in Libya. That no-fly zone is being carried out right now. The United States is playing a strong role, but it's hopeful by the weekend we will transition the leadership role for that operation over to our allies, one of our allied partners in this effort. The one thing I don't want to see is troops on the ground in Libya. We already have stretched very thin as we're winding down operations in Iraq, and we're continuing operations in Afghanistan. But I take this very seriously. Anytime military action is undertaken, you're putting lives at risk and U.S. service members at risk, and whether it's on the air or at sea. And we want to make sure that we're doing this as responsibly, especially carrying out this mission as responsibly as possible, and hopefully it will come to an end very soon. But this is a UN-sanctioned effort, which I'm pleased to see. The United States isn't going it alone. I think that's important. And again, hopefully, once Muammar Gaddafi's military is sufficiently degraded so we can't carry out attacks on civilian populations, then that operation will come to an end. But hopefully, the leadership role will be taken over by one of our allies by the weekend. With that, let me just talk about two very important pieces of legislation that I've introduced in the Congress. One on cybersecurity, and another that affects foster children. We all know how important the internet is and how dependent we are on the internet for commerce and communication and social networking. One of the things that we don't really have a sufficient appreciation for is how vulnerable we can be to either identity theft or being hacked and proprietary information being stolen, or national security secrets being stolen. It's happening every day, unfortunately, for businesses or individuals or at the level of government. We need to work hard to make sure that we're protecting our cyber networks. The President, not long ago, about a year and a half or so ago, gave a major speech in which he said that our cyber assets are a critical national asset, and we use all assets of national power to protect it. The problem that we don't have enough of is coordination in government as to who's responsible for protecting these cyber assets. We do have a cyber coordinator in the White House, but no one really directing those operations. And we're trying to strengthen those authorities in making sure that our cyber assets are very secure. I'm also encouraged by the young people that are interested in cyber issues, and we launched the Cyber Security Challenge that's going to allow and encourage young people, in particular at the high school level, who are potentially interested in the career in this field, to be more involved with cyber security issues. And we've got what's called the Cyber Challenge, and that issue presents a series of challenges to people, to students, to see how far they can get through. Certain cyber challenges are presented to them, and the high scorers will get prizes and things of that nature. But hopefully, it'll put some of our students on a path. Maybe some of the students that are here tonight toward a career in cybersecurity. We don't have enough people in this field that are interested or actually experts in cybersecurity to fill the job. And I'm hoping that this will change course. It's happening also at the college level. The last bill that I'm going to talk about, this is just another, the second of which I've introduced this past week, is protecting foster children. I've been interested in foster care and adoption issues for a number of years. My mom and dad took in foster kids in our home over the years since I was a teenager. And one of the things that just recently came out is a study that showed that far too many foster children have their identity stolen, either by a family member or someone else who takes their identity and either uses it to open credit or to turn on utilities or for other things that the foster child had nothing to do with. And unfortunately, when the foster child will age out of the system, what happens is they find out that their credit has been compromised because of their identity has been stolen. So the legislation I introduced is basically going to require that any child that's in foster care have their credit reviewed every year. If they find a problem, they're going to have that, the state would have to fix the problem. And also making sure that the foster child, in particular as they age out of the system, goes through support for financial literacy courses either for them or their foster parents, and then the other support that's given to make sure that their identity is protected. So those are some of the highlights of the things that we're working on in Congress. Again, nothing more important right now than fixing this economy, getting it back on track, and creating jobs, and we're trying to leave no stone unturned to do that. Again, talked about some of the support for small businesses, and whether it's related to the healthcare bill or small business in general, getting access to credit, access to capital. Those are always vital challenges for small businesses. Paying close attention to these things and working hard to make sure that we assist wherever possible. As I said, government will never be as good at creating jobs as the private sector, and particularly we need to support small businesses wherever possible. So with that, I'm going to end here, and we have our caseworkers here, and hopefully folks have already done